of the tangent, find the equation of the tangent of the curve, of the tangent to the curve y equals 3 plus 2x plus x squared at the point 2, 3. Okay, what shape of curve is this? It's n-shaped because it's minus x squared. So you have an n-shaped curve, okay? And at some point on this n-shaped curve, they either want one of two things. It's either a point on the way up, in which case they want a tangent that looks like that, or it's either a point on the way down, in which case they want a tangent that looks something like this. I don't know which one it is, okay? I haven't got a clue. If it's on its way up, if the slope is on its way up, it's the left-hand side one. If the slope is on its way down, it's the one on the right-hand side. Does that make sense? So the slope on the one on the left has a positive slope, the one on the right has a negative slope, right? Now, what is a tangent? What type of shape is it? It's a line. A tangent is a line. The black lines are tangents. So when you see equation of a tangent, what's the first thing you should look up? Equation of the line. A temp marks don't even know much, okay? Y minus y1 equals m bracket x minus x1. Everybody happy enough with that? Yeah. Now, make a list. What do you have here? Do you have x1 and y1 already? Yeah. X1 and y1 is a point on the line. So that's x1, y1. You already have that. What do you not have? You don't know what the slope is. In differentiation, how do you find the slope? Differentiate once. Differentiate once, and you're going to get 3 turns to 2x turns to, and minus x squared turns to minus 2x. Now, question is, does the slope equal 2, or do you replace x with 2? Which one is it? Does the slope equal 2, or do you replace x with 2? You replace x with 2. Now the reason being is when they give you the point, or when they say x equals, that means you replace x with that number. Does everybody want to hear that again? When you're given the point, or you're told x equals something, that is when you replace x with that number. So the slope of this is 2 minus 2 times 2, because we replaced x with that. What's the answer? It's going to be 2 minus 4, which is? Minus 2. Everybody happy enough with that? Now what do I do with the equation of my line?
You sub in minus 2 for the slope.
Sub in minus 2 for the slope.
And you have the x and y values.
You have the x and the y values, okay, so what I'm just gonna replace in all the x and y values. So it's gonna be y minus what, guys? What's y1? 3 equals minus 2 into
2.
X minus, yeah, multiply it out. Y minus 3 equals minus 2x plus 4. And then you can bring the 3 over to your side. You can get y equals minus 2x plus 7. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, the one I'm going to do next is the one you had on your test yesterday. Okay, so we'll have a look at this one here. Okay, guys, once again, find the coordinates. What does that mean? You have to do? You have to find the point. Yeah, that means you have to find an x value. After you find the x value, you then have to find the y value. So does everybody understand what you're looking for? The first couple of words of the question say find the coordinates. That means you're looking for a point. Okay? Now, what does it give you? It says where the tangent to the curve is parallel. What does parallel usually mean?
Straight line,
same slope. So you're told something about the slope. Okay? Now there's a formula in your notes. Anybody tell me what the formula is? Anybody know from yesterday? Mx plus c. It says it's parallel to this line. That means it has the same slope. What is the slope of this line? How do you know it's 3? Whatever number, when y is on its own, see the way both y's are on their own? When y is on its own, whatever number comes in front of the x is automatically the slope. In this case, the slope equals 3. You already know that the slope equals 3, isn't that correct? At whatever random point we're talking about, the slope is 3. Okay, it's what type of a chapter? What's the name of this chapter again? Have I differentiated you? So even if you haven't got a clue what's going on, if you haven't differentiated, you're not getting any marks, okay? For the most part. So we're going to differentiate. Without clutching at straws, how would you know you have to differentiate? You know that the slope equals 3. In differentiation, how do you find the slope? Differentiate once. So dy dx equals, differentiate x squared. Differentiate minus 1x. 2x minus 1 equals 3. Okay, then after that, sorry? Alright, so 2x equals 4, x equals 2. You found 2, but you still don't know what the y value is. Any idea how to get the y value? Which one? The equation of the curve. If you're looking for y, go to the equation that has y in it. Y equals x squared minus x. What is the x value now?
2.
The x value is 2. 2 squared minus 2? 2. So the answer is 2, 2. What happens is when we're given a curve, okay, any random curve, and there's points on the curve, okay, when you replace in the x value and the y value of any point into the original equation, what should happen? The equation should balance, okay? So if I go back to the last question as an example, okay? Where's the last question? Just one question here, okay? Do you know why we think that 2, 2 is on that curve, don't we? So we're just after saying, oh, 2, 2 is on this curve that we were talking about. Everybody happy with that? If I grab the original equation, replace y with 2, and also replace x with 2, just for this question only, what should happen is both sides should balance each other. I'm going to get 2 equals 2. That means that this point we got is definitely on the original curve. Okay? So, whatever happens, it says that this curve has to contain this line. What does that mean when I replace x with 2 and y with 4 into this equation? What will happen? Has to balance, okay? That's always the case. If you say a point is on a curve, when you replace the x value and the y value of that point into the curve formula, it's got to balance every time. So we're going to get y is 4. What's ax squared? A times? Anybody? 2 squared plus b times? 2 plus 6, okay? Now we got 2 squared, 2, so we're going to get 4 equals 2 squared, anybody? 4a. 2 times b, 2b. What happens when you bring the 6 over to your side? Minus 6. Alright, and what's minus 6 plus 4? Minus 2. You got 4a plus 2b equals minus 2. What type of equation is that? Do you know when you have 2 letters and only one equation, what does that generally mean? Simultaneous. How many equations do you need to make a simultaneous equation work? 2. How many do I have? 1. So there's got to be another one somewhere. So that's my first equation. Okay, and there's nothing I can do with that on its own. 2 letters, 1 equation doesn't work. You need 2 letters and 2 equations to even try working it out. So look at the second question. What does the second question ask you? Find dy dx and write another equation a and b where the slope is the tangent at 2, 4 is 3. Okay, let's work with this for a minute, right? Let's do what the asks us first of all. Let's find dy dx. Okay, what is dy dx in this question? No, ax squared. 2ax, perfect. Differentiate bx. Differentiate 6x, Sean.
X.
6. Differentiate 10x.
10.
Differentiate minus 20x.
Minus
Differentiate bx.
X.
No, it's whatever comes in front of the x. It's whatever comes in front of the x, okay? B. It has to obey the same rules as the numbers, okay? Now, what does it say about this, okay? What is dy dx again? It's also known as which word? It begins with an S. It's also known as the slope. So slope is equal to 2ax plus b. Now, you're also told that the slope equals 3 when x equals what? What's the x value? See, it says when you put in x equals 2, you get a slope of 3. So when you replace x with 2, the slope has to be equal to 3. So you're going to get 4a plus b equals 3. What type of equation is that? Simultaneous. So that's your second equation. Anybody suggests how we do this? I have 4a plus 2b equals minus 2. Can anybody tell me how do I get rid of 4a? If I had a minus 4a, that would be pretty good. So I'm going to multiply the second equation here by minus 1. And what do I get then? Minus 4a. Anybody else? Minus b. After that? Minus 3. 2b minus b? B equals minus 5. If you find b equals minus 5, what's the next step you have to do? And find out? So 4a plus b equals 3. 4a, what's b? Equals 3. Bring the 5 over to your side. 3 plus 5 and 3 plus 5? 8. And then 4a equals, or a equals? 2. Is that right? A equals 2, b equals minus 5. Okay. Is that all we're asked? Yeah. We're only asked to find out what a and b are. Using calculus, find the coordinates of the local minimum and the local maximum. When you see the word maximum, whether it's this type of question or any other, what's the first two things you need to write down? Anybody tell me what happens at a maximum? Nick?
It goes up and down.
Okay, what's the slope at the top of a maximum? Anybody know the slope at a maximum? 0. And the slope at a minimum? 0. So the first things are both the same, and this is not in your table, it's got to be learned off. The first things is both slopes equal 0. And because if your line goes straight across, it means that it's 0. What's another word for slope in differentiation? The first derivative equals 0. Okay. Now this is the part that doesn't make sense, right? But you have to learn it off. What happens to the second derivative when it's a maximum? The second derivative, anybody?
Less than 0.
It's less than 0 for a maximum. And for a minimum? Second derivative is greater than 0. It's almost the opposite of what you think it would be. Maximum is smaller, yet minimum is bigger. It's the opposite of what you think it should be. Okay? Now, that is something. Anytime you see the word maximum or minimum, that's what you need to write down. Okay, so you know what you're doing. Okay, what's the first step they both have in common? Differentiate and put it equal to 0. So differentiate, and what happens when we differentiate x cubed?
3x squared.
When we differentiate 6x squared? Okay, when we differentiate 9?
9.
Sorry? Here. Yeah. What's it, minus 9? Okay.
Plus 9.
Plus 9. Okay. How many points are we expecting? If it has about a maximum and a minimum point, how many x values are we expecting? We're expecting 2 x values, and after the 2 x values, what do we need to get then? 2 y values, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to solve this equal to 0. Is there any number that will divide into all 3? X squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. What's the reference number, lads? 3. And what do you do once that's a 3? What 2 numbers should we use? Minus 3 and minus 1. A positive reference number can either have 2 positives or 2 negatives, okay? So in this case we're running with 2 negatives. Now what's our answers now, guys? X equals 3 and x equals 1. Okay. You can do the next part 2 ways. You can do it by substitution, or you can do it using your calculator. Okay. Sam there wants me to sub it in, so I'll give it a go there. So the original equation is y equals x cubed minus 6x squared plus 9x minus 4. So the really easy way of doing this, guys, and the really easy way to make no mistakes is just don't put the x's in. Just draw it out twice, but don't put the x's in. That's one of them. And then the second one is this one here. Okay, what do I need to replace in with the first one? 3's. The second one? 1's. And this finds out the y value because the x value is 3 something and then it's 1 something. Now, while I'm here, I might as well make use of this, okay? You can do them both out, just saying, you can do them both out using your calculator like this, so I'm in stat mode. You can do them in your calculator saying 3 cubed, and then you can say minus 6 times 3 squared. Now this is going to take a small bit of time, okay? So in a test, I tend to use the calculator function for a couple of reasons. I'll tell you why in a second. So, see the way the first one's minus 4? Okay, just remember that. It's 3 minus 4. Now I'm going to show you why I use the way I do it, okay? I'll go back to my calculator. I'll go to the table function. And I will enter this in. X cubed minus 6x squared plus 9x minus 4. Okay? What? Is it plus 4?
Yeah, I got plus 4.
Sorry. That means I got to change my last answer to, is it, then we get plus 8?
Yeah.
Plus 8, right? Okay, I'll change that now. Just give me a second. So that was a plus 4. So my last answer was minus 4, but that was 8 too low, so it's going to be 3. What's it, 3, 4, is it?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Now just recheck. Yeah, it's plus 4, so we go back to our calculator here. Now look what happens here, guys, okay? See the way it's minus 5, 316. Everybody see that? Minus 4, 192. What direction is it going, up or down? How do you know? See the y value. The y value is lower. The next y value is bigger. It gets bigger again. So basically, at the moment, you're on your way up. Okay, so just let me explain. When the y figures get bigger, you're on your way up. Okay? Then you look at it again, and you figure out, keep going. It's still going up, isn't it? Minus 12 all the way to 4. And then 1/8. And then after 1/8, it drops to 2/6. So 1/8 is your maximum. Okay, so 1/8 is this part here. It starts to turn. Then keep reading it. It goes down once. Then it goes down again to 3, 4. And after 3, 4, it starts to go up again. So it goes down to 3, 4. And then it starts to go up again. So we know that that's 3, 4 and 1, 8. If you put this one into your calculator, you find out it's 1, 8. Just by using your calculator alone, which one do you think is the maximum and which one do you think is the minimum? 1, 8 is the maximum because it went down directly after 1, 8. So look, it goes up towards 1, 8, minus 12, 4, 1, 8 is the biggest y value. Then it goes down to 3, 4, which is the minimum, and then back up again to 4, 8, if you were to draw that out. Okay, so that's the, we're assuming that's the max, and this one here is the min. What's the test to prove that it's a maximum and a minimum? The second derivative. What is the second derivative? Differentiate that, guys. 3x squared minus 12x plus 9. 6x minus 12. Now, we have two x values to sub in, don't we? We have 6 times something minus 12, and the other one is 6 times something minus 12. Okay, what's the first one? 6 times 3 minus 12 is what? 6 is bigger than 0. What does that make it? Not equal for a start, but if you go back to your very top, if your second derivative is bigger than 0, what does it make it? A minimum. Okay, so it's a minimum. We knew that already though, didn't we? So I'm just having a quick sketch of the graph. What about the other one? 6 times 1 minus 12? Minus 6 minus 6? Smaller than 0? Maximum. Okay. If you were to draw this graph, okay, it doesn't tell you to draw it, but if you imagine you went in here and you said, okay, I'll pretty much draw this graph, okay? You have x cubed, then you have plus x, okay, and minus 4. Now, just pick some values that are random, minus 5 all the way up to, I don't know, 10, something random, okay? What do you notice about all your numbers? What do you notice about all the y values? Just keep looking. What's happening at the moment? Is it on its way up or its way down? It's on its way up, okay? So the graph is currently on its way up. But usually, like the last question, we'd expect it to bend and then go back up again, wouldn't we? Because it's a cubic equation. Would you agree with that? Okay. Let's see if that happens. Okay. So we'll just keep going up here. What's happening to the y values? Still going upwards. Still going up. Okay, still going up. Still going up. Still going up. Still on their way up. Okay, let's try this again. Let's start. Yeah, it's like the skiing question. Remember the ski slope question? Look at this. Step of 10. Alright, look at this now. It's going up at 0. From 0 to 10, it goes up 1,000. Do you see that? From 10 to 20, it goes up another 7,000. From 20 to 30, it goes up 19,000. So what happened was this. It got slow for a second, and then it just skyrocketed up. But it never went downwards. Okay, so just gotta adjust that slightly. It never went downwards. What does that mean about the slope all the time? Slope is always positive. That wasn't the case for our last question, where our last question was both positive and negative. In this question here, it's always positive. Now we got to prove that it's always positive, right? So can anyone in the class tell me how do you prove that a slope is always positive? Differentiate once, because you want to show that the slope is always bigger than 0. Differentiate once and what happens? Sorry? So it's going to be 3x squared plus 1 is greater than 0. Can anyone in the class tell me why is 3x squared plus 1 always greater than 0? Sorry? So you're going to write down a quick explanation. You're going to say x squared is always positive. Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay, x squared is always positive, and therefore, and then you say 3 times. Why am I saying 3 times? Can anybody tell me? 3 times a positive number. So you can say 3 times a positive number plus 1 always results in a positive number. Okay? And then you can say, therefore, dy dx is always greater than 0, slope is always positive. Does that make sense? If the first formula, if your original formula equals distance or height, can anybody tell me what the first derivative is? First derivative is speed. Can anybody tell me what the second derivative is? Okay, that's what you need to learn off by heart. If your original formula is distance or height, your first derivative is speed, your second derivative is acceleration. Okay? Now, it wants me to find the height of the ball after 3 seconds. Okay? Any ideas how to do that? The height is given by 8 times the time minus the time squared. So you can replace t with 3 if you want. And what you'll get is 24 minus 9, which is 15 meters. If I were you guys, and even if I was doing this myself in the exam, I'd once again go straight for this. I'd say 8x minus x squared. Now, if it's time, lads, what's an ideal start for time?
0.
Can I start at minus 5? Mick, what's the ideal start off for time?
1.
So a time start is 0. Just call it, I don't know, 10 seconds. Make sure that you're counting up in 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So make sure your step is 1. Now, what does this tell you? At time 0, how high are you above the ground? 0. Time 1? Alright, time 2, 12 meters. 3 seconds in, you're 15 meters in the air. 4 seconds in, 16 meters in the air. 5 seconds in. What does that mean about 4 seconds in? The maximum height, also known as a maximum point. Maximum point is 4 seconds in, 16 meters high. Everybody got that? Now look what we can do next. And we already know that 3 seconds in gives me 15 meters. We already calculated that. Part 2. The speed of the ball after 1 second. What's the speed equation again? How do we get the speed equation? Differentiate this and what do you get? Differentiate AT. T squared. 2t. And after 1 second, so what does that mean you replace t with? 8 minus 2 times 1? Anybody? 6 meters per second. The height of the ball when its speed is 4 meters per second. What does that mean? Its speed is 4 meters per second. So your speed formula equals 4. Bring your 8 over the other side. Minus 2t equals minus 4. T will equal 2. You want the height though, don't you? You can sub it in or you can check out your original graph. 2 seconds in, it's how many meters high? 12. So you can do it this way. H equals 8t minus t squared. You could do 8 times 2 minus 2 squared. And we already checked that on the calculator function. It's 12 meters high. Last question. After how many seconds does the ball begin to fall downwards? When you're at the very top, what's your speed just before you fall downwards? Your speed equals 0. That means your first derivative will equal 8 minus 2t, 0. 2t equals 8, t equals 4. We already knew that, didn't we? That t equals 4 was the maximum height.